Hello and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Forecast. StormTracker8 forecaster Tyler Hull here on this Wednesday, February 25th, 2026. Hopefully your work week is going well. And today I'm joined by our chief meteorologist, Matt DiNardo. Matt, how are you doing today?
Doing good. I think I'm like everybody, waiting for a little sunshine, a little warm weather, getting tired of the clouds, gloom and doom.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to get into that here in just a little bit. But first, touching on what's happening across the country and here in Virginia. We did have a couple of showers earlier today here in Central Virginia. We're in for more rain tomorrow. We'll get into that in just a little bit. But there's also some snow happening in areas that just got buried in feet of snow from the blizzard of 2026 that made national headlines the other day. We do have windy weather in the high plains and also fire weather, unfortunately, in the Four Corners area, Texas and Oklahoma. We'll get into that. And then we'll talk about the upcoming weekend as well here.
Which hopefully will be better, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So first and foremost, before getting into the national weather stories, looking at today in weather history, believe it or not, nearly 100 years ago, so we're talking about 92 years ago from today, we had a winter storm in the Richmond area that produced 8 inches of snow, Matt.
It's, we talked about this yesterday, right? So yesterday was the 10th anniversary of the 2016 blizzards, tornadoes, excuse me, and we had just had the blizzard a couple of days before that. Wild weather in February can happen anytime, usually more conducive to snow, right? Like you see in 1934. Of course, none of us were around back then, but always good to learn a little weather history.
Yeah, absolutely. Pretty fascinating, to say the least. So getting into the national radar and satellite here, Matt. So again, we have a little bit of snow in the Northeast that just got buried in feet of snow, particularly southern New England, just a couple of days ago. Couple of showers across Central Virginia. We have that ongoing system in the plains that we'll get to, and that fire weather, as we'll take this full and talk more about this map here a little bit, Matt.
Yeah, things looking, relatively quiet for most of the country when you look at in terms of the amount of precipitation, right? The next issue coming into the West Coast is that storm off the coast, which will provide more of that pineapple connection, the onslaught of moisture into northern and central California and even southern sections of Oregon. And the one that was there yesterday is now dropping through Denver, and then it's part of the system. It's going to link up into Dallas and bring us our rainy weather for tomorrow. So there's a lot of little things happening, but there's no huge storms right now at this point.
Right, yeah. So we had that on Sunday into Sunday night. We had that strengthening nor'easter that brought those blizzard conditions to, coastal New England. Also, I know New Jersey, New York, Delaware, many states had a lot of snow the other day. Incredible, for sure.
Yep.
So, all right, getting into, let's see here, the winds. So there is an ongoing system in the high plains.
That's the low that you see there from coming out of Wyoming all the way into South Dakota and Nebraska. And that's going to help to fire up winds, as you're looking at right there, right? And one of the concerns there is these winds are downsloping winds, so that means they're coming down the mountains. That, number one, increases the speed of the winds. As air descends, it picks up speed.
Right.
But two, it also dries things out, and that then sets the stage for potential fire weather. And this entire area has been under a long-term drought for quite some time. You see the elevated risk east front range of the Rockies and eastern Albuquerque, and then relatively dry as you look at most of New Mexico, Texas, Kansas, and even the western panhandle of Oklahoma.
Yeah, these areas, because I was digging into this not too long ago, are dealing with quite the expansive drought situation, which has obviously led to these fire concerns here out in the Four Corners part of the United States, and also Oklahoma and Texas. And of course, our graphics are kind of freezing up here, but basically, yeah, they are dealing with a deficit of rainfall in this particular part of the country. There you go. Okay, so there is some extreme and exceptional drought kind of areas. that are ongoing. So obviously that's a huge concern out there, Matt.
Yeah, no, it really is. I mean, even though it's only showing up as yellow, which is abnormally dry, but then you look at the tan there, those are moderate drought conditions. You get into the orange, severe drought, of course. Red is extreme drought, and you're looking at some big issues there. But you have to remember, we're also coming out of winter in some of these areas. So any top brush, vegetation, that died in fall is still very dry and becoming more brittle. And that's really what's susceptible to catch on fire and cause, widespread wildfire situations. Yeah.
Right, absolutely. So, bottom line for those areas, they need rain. So we take a look at the big picture of things. The rest of today, tomorrow, and Friday again, a little bit of a system impact in the Northeast today, Matt, and also it looks like the Rockies seeing some snow and some rain as well.
Yeah, that's the system we were just talking about. And as you put this into motion, you'll notice that area in the Rockies kind of dives down. See how quickly it moves all the way across. Then it just blows up this moisture over the East Coast. Again, there's a couple of things happening here, but the main story and the main takeaway is tomorrow is going to be a rainy day here in the Mid-Atlantic, pretty much for most areas along and south of I-64. I think as you get up toward D.C., Philly, New York City, probably going to be missing out on this. This is going to be a little bit more of a southern system, if you will.
Yeah.
But that's okay, right? I mean, and people are saying, I don't need any more rain. I just had all the snow that melted. We did have rain last Sunday, this past Sunday. We're really kind of getting super soaked. The James River, by the way, running super high. It was running nearly 8 feet over at the West End gauge, which is, I think, opponent pasture. On yesterday, coming down a touch, but if we pick up another half inch or so, it's going to puff back up. And again, not that there's a lot of recreation on the James right now, right? It's super cold, but just, something to say, hey, be smart, maybe stay away from the James.
Yeah, that is a very good point about river levels being a little bit elevated from all of the recent rain happening across Central Virginia as a whole. We get into Friday, that system's going to be out of here, but there's going to be some lingering moisture over the southeast, Matt.
Yeah, South Carolina, extreme southern sections of North Carolina down into Georgia. That's kind of the bottom half of that system. And the concern yesterday was some of our weather models were actually taking that moisture and bringing it up here to kind of spoil part of Saturday. I was thinking it might be, if at best, probably Emporia to the Tidewater. And I think that as looking at the new models before we came in, that kind of theory has changed a little bit more coastal North Carolina and then off the coast for Saturday. So it means we have better weather.
Yeah, good news there. And speaking of better weather, the past couple of days have been cooler than average across Central Virginia. Well below average, actually. We should be in the low to mid 50s for this time of year. We've been running quite a bit below that the last few days.
And even today, with the clouds really stubborn, I mean, we're sitting at 53 right now as of this recording. It doesn't feel like it. It feels just like a blah, like, oh, come on, can't we get better? But we will get better, and we'll show that coming up in the 8-day forecast for the weekend.
Yeah, and today is warmer compared to yesterday.
Right.
It's all relative,
Correct.
right?
Yeah, right.
We're going to be in for a warmer day on Saturday. In particular, should be a really nice outdoors day across the area as we get into that. In the 60s, which is certainly good news for folks who have outdoor plans this weekend. Going to be really, really nice as I take this full. So, yeah, Saturday looks like a nice outdoors day right now.
Yeah, the big concern is, Sunday we start to drop, right? And we see the temperatures by Monday in the lower 40s, mid 40s.
Right.
We have, it's really a very unsettled weather pattern. There's a couple of systems trying to make a run at us, bring us some showers, maybe a little bit of a mixed in flake or two to the north and west. Look, everybody's always asking, are we getting one more storm before winter's over? This doesn't look to be it. This just looks to be more of nuisance stuff. But, we're continuing to watch everything, of course, all the time.
Yeah, and we'll keep you posted on early next week. And, of course, with tomorrow being a rainy day, once again, the past 2 Sundays have been certainly rainy across the area. We want to know in your comments below this video if you're ready for yet another rainy day tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are going to probably like, no, I'm pretty much done with rain. I'd like
Right.
some sunshine and maybe some 70s and 80s. And, my answer to that is April and May aren't too far off.
Right. They are right around the corner. We got March on Sunday, hard to believe. And we'll be getting into obviously more spring-like warmth. And with that, obviously, does come with the spring severe weather season around here, which, of course, we'll be keeping on top of as well, Matt.
Of course, yes.
And coming up at 4 o'clock, Matt will have an updated look at the 8-day forecast across Central Virginia, including, of course, that rainy day on the way for us on Thursday.